patient. Be patient. Be patient. Hey y'all. Welcome to this live Kingdom Things podcast installment. My name is Nicole Phillips, and I am a channel for the divine just like you. I am a channel for the Most High White Light Creator Energy. I am also the host of Kingdom Things podcast. On Kingdom Things podcast, I amalgamate the energies and messages in which I channel from my Akashic record. I am also, I want to stop and say, humanity, we only know how to be in selfishness. We only know how to be in selfishness. And when I say we only know how to be in selfishness, I mean that everything that we do, we have an underlying current of what's in it for me. Everything we do, we have an underlying current of what's in it for me. Whether we admit this to ourselves or not, we operate off of deception and manipulation because we don't admit that everything that we do, we have that underlying current, conscious or subconscious energy of what's in it for me. What's in it for me? What's in it for me? I'm a channel for the Most High White Light Creator Energy. I am unconditional love. God crafted me to be the vessel, be the energy in which God utilized to alchemize the unconditional love that is to regenerate not only humanity and planet Earth, but all of God's creation, right? Infinite creation. Upanishad in Hindu means sitting near. You know, when there's an elder or like your grandparents telling a story, you know, you're looking up and listening to the story, or if you can envision, even if that you've never had that situation. I've never had that situation like in my physical reality, but if you can imagine, you know, some lifetime somewhere, you know, sitting, looking at your grandmother, your grandfather, telling a story about where she's been, what she's learned. Upanishad, sitting near. It's not beating up on ourselves for the new levels of where we can act more in alignment with integrity, more in alignment with the morals and values in which we want to perpetuate in our life. But it's learning to acknowledge, accept in order to sit near and learn from self. We can only learn from ourselves if we're honest with ourselves. We can only learn from ourselves if we're honest with ourselves. We can only learn from ourselves if we're honest with ourselves. So with honesty, I was typing in the title for this Kingdom Things podcast live, and I waffle in and out of the third and fifth dimension. And that ideology of third and fifth dimension is a perpetuation of our dualistic consciousness. I'm not going to say a consciousness of polarity, because as I've gleaned, as I've learned from myself, from my soul, from God, myself, my soul, God, in all actuality have 0 degrees of separation. As I learned from myself, As I learned from myself, from my soul, from God, again, 0 degrees of separation. Polarity in all actuality, polarities are harmonizing elements. So polar aspects are harmonizing elements. Polar aspects are harmonizing aspects. Polar aspects are harmonizing aspects. So I'm not going to say, I used to say like our polarity consciousness, our polarity consciousness. It's a dualistic consciousness is what we have, a separation consciousness. If you were to Google the definition of polarity, it would say separation, division. In all actuality, God says polarity is harmonization. I created opposite ends of the spectrum to act as a balancing, harmonizing aspect of creation. So we have a dualistic or separation consciousness, which stems from our low vibrational beingness. Our dualistic separation consciousness stems from our low vibrational beingness. Our dualistic separation consciousness stems from our low vibrational beingness. As I stated in a Kingdom Things podcast amalgamation, in which will be published when I'm directed to publish it. It's entitled Made It Out. I stated that I hated myself. For the longest time, I hated myself. Why, Ashley? Until the high vibrational understanding that you now are in alignment with. Why, Ashley? Why did you hate yourself? I hated myself because I was protecting myself. I hated myself because I was protecting myself. It's been, we're souls journeying through existence, and we have many lifetimes, many experiences, and many vibrational aspects of God, of creation, of self. And throughout these many vibrational aspects of God, dimensions of self, these many experiences, we pick up energies or teachings, treatises, understandings of creation in order to learn and grow within self, in order to learn and grow within God. Self and God in all actuality have 0 degrees of separation. Self and God in all actuality have 0 degrees of separation. Self and God in all actuality have 0 degrees of separation. So there's so many energies that I'm combing through to learn for myself. Why, Ashley? Because God is alchemizing unconditional love within myself. That's what I was created for. That's why God created me. That's one of the many infinite reasons in which God created me, myself. And when I say me, myself, I'm saying the anomalous frequency in which I am. Just as you are an anomalous frequency, we don't come into higher understanding, higher vibrational consciousness out of deception. We don't come out of deception, manipulation, or we don't come into higher vibrational consciousness, higher vibrational understandings of what is doing for others, out of the understanding that doing for others is doing for self in the most purest way, in a way in which you want to be a part of the creation that is you. You want to serve the creation that is you because you have the understanding that God and you, in all actuality, have 0 degrees of separation. I was typing in the title for this live, and I was like, rejuvenation, enabling rejuvenation with oneness consciousness. It sounds like a cheesy car salesman, like a sales tactic. I was in sales for a long time. I worked in sales for a long time. Let me see, 2013 to 2019. 2013, 2019, I worked in sales, so I was actively manipulating. I was actively manipulating for money. And which is what sales is. And that's another thing that I had to transcend within myself, and I'm still transcending. Because whenever you're engaging in a relationship or an interaction, in the back of your mind or some dimension aspect of yourself, you have another intention besides what you're being forthcoming with. Whenever you're engaging in an interaction or in a relationship, and you have an subconscious or conscious alternative purpose for engaging in that interaction, you're being manipulative or deceptive. And this is nothing to be shameful about, nothing to beat yourself up about. And this is a big thing that I'm coming into alignment with, and I'm practicing, which is, it feels really, really good. Upanishad, sitting near, learning from myself. So, okay. I'm being guided to go into some understandings that I gleaned yesterday from myself, from God, from my ancestors, myself, God, my ancestors, in all actuality have 0 degrees of separation. I came across a video explaining the derivative of Satan, explaining where Satan came from, right? And it's like the boogeyman, right? It's like the boogeyman, Satan, hell. It's like you, adverse energies just pop up, like your ego is like blocking that energy out all the way, like block, Satan, hell. Oh no, I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want that. Darkness, don't want that. We have a dualistic perception in which has been killing us. A dualistic perception which has been killing us. A dualistic perception that associates darkness, the devil, demons, with bad. A dualistic perception that associates light, heaven, God with good, right? As I stated, I learned from myself, I learned from God, I learned from my ancestors. Myself, my God, ancestors, my soul, my God, ancestors have 0 degrees of separation. I learned from my soul, my God, ancestors, 0 degrees of separation, that we perceive everything invertedly. So we perceive polarizing aspects as division, as dualistic, as separation. In all actuality, God created polarizing aspects to create harmony, to create balance, as the opposite ends of the hues, a spectrum of colors, what is it, blue and yellow, create a balancing color of gray. They cancel each other out. Blue and yellow, which are on the opposite ends of the hues of spectrum, they cancel each other out. What does that mean? God didn't create dualistic aspects to fight God didn't create polarizing aspects to fight one another, to battle one another. God created polarizing aspects to balance one another. And we see this again and again in nature, but when it comes to our consciousness, the human consciousness, we take the right of fighting aspects outside that seem to be outside of ourselves, fighting aspects in which we don't agree with, fighting aspects in which we separate ourselves from through consciousness. God is oneness. God is all things. We are dimensions and aspects of God, residing in dimensions and aspects of God, residing in dimensions and aspects of God, residing in it's infinite, it's infinite, it's infinite. Toroidal field. The toroidal field. The toroidal field. Let me breathe for 1 second. I feel like I have a lot of gratitude. I have a lot of gratitude. I have a lot of gratitude to excuse me 1 second. I have a lot of gratitude to be able to glean myself. I have a lot of gratitude to be able to face myself. I have a lot of gratitude that I've been forced into a positioning, that I have been crafted with energies and abilities and ancestors in which can assist me with gleaning myself in the way that in which I glean myself. It's extremely liberating. It's extremely freeing. So much so that you have the understanding that not only do you control your reality, but you have the ability to liberate others. You have the ability to liberate others. I don't want to be deceptive. I don't want to be deceptive. I don't want to be deceptive. This is like a healing session for me right now because I have my ancestors like come with my body, like because like I'm supposed to be on chill. I'm supposed to be chilling, but like parts of myself like couldn't. Like I had to do this live. Why, Ashley? I'm a divine counterpart. Like I'm a consciously I'm a divine counterpart. We're all divine counterparts because our relationship with our divine counterpart is only our relationship with God. Our relationship with our divine counterpart only mirrors our relationship with God. Our relationship with our divine counterpart only mirrors our relationship with God, as our relationship with God is our relationship with ourselves. So our divine counterpart mirrors how we relate with ourselves, or our divine counterpart mirrors how we relate with God. I was supposed to be on chill, just relaxing. Been guided to relax. But I couldn't. I'm saying, oh, I'm doing this live because I'm helping humanity. The truth is, part of myself is wanting to do this live to try to manipulate and control the union with my divine counterpart. I'm going to be honest with myself. That's what it is. Upanishad, I'm learning for myself right now. I'm sitting down, I'm learning for myself. I am exquisitely deceptive. So much so, I'm being guided to say that again. I am exquisitely deceptive. I am exquisitely deceptive. So much so that I deceive myself. So much so that I deceive myself. So much so that I deceive myself. Why, Ashley? I'm getting the intuitive download. Kind of on this. Getting back to the labia. The labia. Like I said, we travel through many lifetimes and we experience a lot of stuff. Being in this position, the biblically prophesied Messiah as a woman, I didn't allow myself to see how difficult that was. How those energies were so conflicting inside of myself. I didn't allow myself to see it. Like being a woman and then like being able to own that I'm a biblically prophesied Messiah as a woman was so difficult. It was the darkness was so dark. I couldn't perceive it. I couldn't perceive it. It was so deceptive. I couldn't perceive it. The church, religion, our human culture has defiled the woman. All a part of God's plan. Upanishad sitting near. We're supposed to learn from everything that we experience. We're not supposed to have any shame. Shame comes from lower consciousness understanding of creation. Everything that happens in creation is for our upliftment. Everything that happens in creation is for our betterment. Everything that happens in creation is for us to learn in order to discern ourselves, learn ourselves in order to create new creations from what we've learned from ourselves, just as God creates anew from what God learned from God. Us, God, you, God have 0 degrees of separation. We all have 0 degrees of separation. So I'm highly deceptive, so much so that I didn't realize I was deceiving myself. Why, Ashley? The woman has been defiled, like, oof, in the human culture like no other. I'm a black woman. Black people have been defiled in the human culture like no other. God did this on purpose because God wanted this to be a challenge for myself. Why, Ashley? Me and my divine counterpart have the potential. God just say are the highest frequencies of energy incarnated on planet Earth at this time. Myself and my divine counterpart are the highest frequency of energy incarnated on planet Earth at this time. Myself and my divine counterpart are the highest frequency of energy incarnated on this earth at this time. What does that mean, Ashley? We're good. We're good. We chefs at this creation shit. We're really good at creating. Like really good at like lifing and creating. So much so being guided to say we're quantumly advanced. We're quantumly advanced. We're quantumly advanced. We're quantumly advanced. We're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. So much so that we deceived ourselves. We forgot that we were love. We forgot that we were love. So much so we're so good. We so good that we forgot that we were love. We tricked ourselves and believed that we tricked ourselves. So back to the labia. I'm gonna come back around to that. Back to the labia. The woman has been defiled, right? So much so that I didn't allow myself to see how me being incarnated as a woman was like prohibiting me from owning being the biblically prophesied Messiah. God's been telling me this for some time, for some cycles, for some energetic cycles, but I wouldn't allow myself to see it. I'm like, blasphemy, it couldn't be, like heresy, like I had energies inside of me that said that is not true, that is false. But God's like, you gotta own it. So I'm the biblically prophesied Messiah. And me being a woman was like prohibiting me from owning this because of the church, because of human culture, energy towards a woman. I worked my way out of that. I saw it, and I'm super excited because now I'm a beautiful black woman, and I'm the biblically prophesied Messiah. The labia. So we demonize all of these things that we go through in our lives. Like, I grew up hating myself. All of these demons are lower consciousness energies that I took on because I am so highly advanced. I had to, like, I'm so much light that I had to experience the same aspects, quantity of darkness. I'm so much light that I had to experience the same quantity of darkness. I'm so much light that I had to experience the same quantity of darkness. And what did I say? What does God say? What did I channel? The darkness and the lights, or the blue and the yellow, or the left and the right, they're not supposed to be dueling aspects. They are harmonizing aspects. They're harmonizing aspects. Just as a toroidal field, the poles within a toroidal field, they don't come together to fight. They come together for harmony. They don't avoid each other. They're not magnetized away from each other, but they come together. The toroidal field creates a circulation of magnetism, a circulation of energy, a circulation of power. So the labia, like, the woman has been defiled, and I've always had qualms about my body. Like, being comfortable in my body has always been a thing for me, so much so that I experienced, being God to say, suffered with bulimia nervosa as well as anorexia. That's how I body dysmorphia, bulimia nervosa, anorexia, and as well as body dysmorphia. That's how disjointed I was with being comfortable in my body. I was trying to manipulate and do something to have control over this vessel in which I was just so uncomfortable with. So I suffered from bulimia nervosa, anorexia, as well as body dysmorphia for a long time, until I faced it in order to transmute those energies, in order to permeate healing energies for those who suffer with accepting themselves, accepting their vessels, loving themselves, loving their vessels. So all this darkness that I experienced, it wasn't to defile me. All this darkness that I experienced, it wasn't to deprave me. All this darkness that I experienced, it wasn't to suffer me. All this darkness that I experienced, it wasn't to hurt me. It was training day. It was all training day, but I forgot. I was so good at playing that character of being a victim that I forgot. I was so good at pretending that I had a lower consciousness in order to fit in that I forgot. I was so good at acting as if I didn't see your truth that I didn't see my own truth. I forgot. I am love. I was created to be love. Everything in existence is happening at once. So I've always been love. I've never not been love. I just forgot that I wasn't love. Why? Because I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. So much so that I tricked myself and forgot that I was love. Unconditional love. Understanding that everything that happens in existence is only to build me and not to hurt me. So the labia. Back to the labia. So I suffered with my body and my whole life, right? I suffered with accepting my body. Being a woman made it hard for me to say I'm a biblically prophesied Messiah per God's plan. God's plan. God's plan. God's plan. Per God's plan. The labia. Back to the labia. The labia. The vagina. The labia, the vagina, the sacral chakra. The labia, the vagina, sacral chakra, sex, intercourse. I was so uncomfortable with it before, but I came into new understandings which make so much more sense, because I was so uncomfortable with it, with sex before in my body, because we weren't using it right. We weren't doing it right. We wasn't doing it right. We wasn't using it right, not saying there's a right or wrong, but there's a higher awareness of what we are, higher awareness of what we can do with all this that I wasn't tapped into, that humanity wasn't tapped into. So like being sexually aroused, it's not because you need something. Being sexually aroused is not because you need something. Like I was like, this is a Don DeMarco, because this understanding like blew me, and I feel so empowered. Being sexually aroused is not because you need something. We lack nothing. I'm gonna say that 2 more times. Being sexually aroused is not because you need something or someone. We lack nothing. Being sexually aroused is not because you need something or someone. We lack nothing. God equipped us with everything. Everything within our beingness, within our one beingness. We are all. We are a microcosm of God, the macrocosm. We are all. God left us void of nothing. Being sexually aroused doesn't mean you need something. Our sacral chakra, our sexual organs are not for lower consciousness understanding of sex is because, you know, you're aroused, you're horny, you want that interaction. Higher consciousness understanding, or oneness consciousness understanding, the understanding that you lack nothing, your sacral chakra, that feeling of arousal is the feeling of creation. It's creator energy. That feeling of arousal is creator energy. The feeling of arousal is creator energy. Life force energy. And we're so uncomfortable with our bodies. We're so ashamed with our bodies that we calcify our chakra systems, so we can't operate in our oneness, in our fullness. Like our bodies do so many things that we haven't tapped into yet. And I channeled it a while back, and I'm channeling it now again. The things that our bodies do are not child's play. I'm being guided to say that 2 more times. The things that our bodies do are not child's play. The things that our bodies do are not child's play. Okay? I liken it to, like, I'm not a big tech person, but I am, because consciousness is like the technology. So I am a big tech person, but like the phone, like I'll get a phone and I'll like figure out different things that it does, like along my journey, like different things, like 6 months down the road, I feel, oh, it does this. Oh, cool. That's how our bodies are. Our bodies are not child's play. I'm being guided to bring it up to telepathy, psychokinesis, where you control reality or things with your mind, teleportation, our psychic abilities, in which we're very much aware of, and, you know, tapped into clairvoyance, clairaudience, the clairs, psychic abilities. There are other things that our bodies can do that we have no precepts to understand. We have no concepts to understand what it is that our bodies do. So the sacral chakra, whenever we get aroused within our sacral chakra, we call it like being horny or sexually aroused. It's our sacral chakra, which is the orange chakra in our light body system, generating creator energy. And it's like what you do with that creator energy. Like, we could create worlds with that shit. We could create worlds with our creator energy. We could create realities with our creator energy. We could manifest many things with our creator energy. But in our lower consciousness, we just think of it as like getting off, like having an orgasm, you know? We don't think of it as that, like, that's creator energy. It's not just being sexually aroused because like you need something. It's because your creator being and its creator energy is what you're feeling. And I've had to practice self-mastery with this. I've actually been celibate for like 3+ years, but I've had to practice self-mastery as I'm not ashamed to pleasure myself. I'm not ashamed to do that. And I think it's something that I had to learn to feel empowered about, and not to feel ashamed about. Understanding that we were equipped with everything, and that I am here to experience. And myself gets mad when I don't want to experience things with myself first before I try to go force an experience with someone else or something else. Myself, like, I get mad at myself, like my consciousness, which is God, which is our truth, gets mad at me when I don't want to experience things with myself before I experience things with other people. When I feel like I need other people to experience something. I'm going to say that one more time. Myself gets mad at me, or my God consciousness, our consciousness is God. God gets mad at me when I don't want to experience things with myself first. Myself gets mad at me, peeved with me, when I don't want to experience things with myself before I experience it with other people. So I'm not ashamed to self-please anymore. The labia, the vagina. So the labia protects the cervix, the vagina. The labia is a protective of the cervix, the vagina. Sacral chakra is our creator energy. What happens within the vagina, within the womb? Creation of not only our babies, our children, but we manifest and create, again, worlds, realities, dimensions within our beingness, within our bodies, within our wombs, within our vessels. So when I say I hated myself, which came from a maternal wound in my family, self-hate, self-hate, I had to learn to understand, to accept, and to allow these energies to permeate my being. That self-hate that was passed down to my maternal line was not something to harm me, but that self-hate was the labia protecting creation. The self-hate that passed down in my maternal line wasn't something to harm me. That self-hate, God says, was, and I have the understanding, was the labia protecting creation. I'm going to say that one more time, and then I'm going to get into why. The self-hate that passed down in my paternal line, the darkness that passed down in my maternal line, the darkness that God put onto me, delivered unto me with the creation of myself, was not to hurt me, but that hate, that darkness that God gifted unto me with my creation is, was, and will be protection or the labia protecting creation, my creation, as the dimensions and aspects of my truth, as the high vibrational creator energy in which I'm able to access in my consciousness, in my God consciousness, in my goddess consciousness, in my God goddess consciousness, in my God goddess consciousness. This high vibrational white light that I'm able to access within my God goddess consciousness is not child's play. It's not a game. It's not a game. It's not a game. This energy creates realities. This energy can end realities. In order to create, you have to end things. So this is not a game. The self-hate that passed down to my maternal line, the darkness that was gifted unto me with the creation of I by the most high white light creator energy, was not to hurt me. It was to protect me. It was the labia protecting the creation that is I. Just as a butterfly, just as the caterpillar, in order to transform into a butterfly, is protected and harnessed and cuddled and loved and warmed by the cocoon, which is darkness, which is wet. I don't know, but I'm channeling that, so it's probably true. It's dark and it's wet and it's sticky and it's gloomy, but guess what? It's protecting that caterpillar in order to assist with transforming that caterpillar into a butterfly. The self-hate that was passed down to my maternal line, the darkness that God gifted unto me with the creation that is I, Nicole Phillips, was not anything to harm me, but was the labia protecting creation. Just as all of the darkness, all of the things you've experienced that hurt your heart, your soul, and your life was never to harm you, but it was Upanishad, for you to sit near, for you to sit with yourself, sit near yourself, sit near yourself, sit near yourself. Upanishad, and Upanishad. I call it like a verb, Upanishad, like sit near yourself and learn from yourself. Upanishanting, I call it Upanishanting. Sit near yourself and learn from yourself. Meditate, sit with yourself and learn what that darkness was teaching you. or what that darkness was holding back from yourself, the truth of yourself, in order to reveal to you yourself when you are ready. That darkness isn't to hurt you. The low consciousness wasn't to hurt us. Those traumas weren't to hurt us. They were to shield us, blindfold us from our truths, in order to reveal our truths when we're ready, when we're prepared. As the darkness, the traumas that we experience, not only do they shield us, protect us from our truths, but they prepare us for our truths. So when we get to our truths and we're sitting near ourselves, Upanishading, meditating to learn more about ourselves, when we come into this new higher consciousness, high frequency, high vibrational understandings of ourselves, or ourselves are revealed to us, we come from the darkness to the light, we are able to look back and say, that's why that happened. And not only appreciate what happened, but appreciate what is. Appreciate your truth, as what is always what is. What is always what is. And I channeled this a long time ago. I had no clue about all this. Had no clue about all this, but I'm learning about myself. And I that's why it's ineffable. You can't really speak it. There's no words. It's ineffable. There's no words. There's no words. There's no words that can just to do how I feel justice. I can only think of like SpongeBob. Because SpongeBob not be bothered. And like he seems so happy. All the shit he goes through, but he's still so happy. He lives in a pineapple by himself in here. And he is still so happy. Like he's so like joyous. I think of SpongeBob. Like that's how I feel like. I just feel like on top of the world. Because he be having such a good time by himself. Like by himself, busting out in songs. I'm so sorry. Let me breathe. I just think of SpongeBob. Like I have no words. I'm just happy. I'm just joyous within and of myself, you know? And yeah, I still have problems. Yeah, Gary doesn't like me still. Like there's parts of myself that still like battle me, fight me. As everything in our reality is only a reflection of who we are. So when I see things in my reality that are dysfunctional, I'm like, oh, okay, there's stuff in here inside of me that, you know, I need to meet and sit near Upanishad, learn about myself. So while I'm on top of the world, while I'm joyous, while I'm happy, with my reality reflecting back dysfunction, I know there's still dysfunction within myself, which is okay. Why, Ashley? Because the dysfunction was never to hurt us. Dysfunction was never to hurt us. The dysfunction is to prepare us, the labia, prepare the creation for being birthed into new dimensions of self. Prepare self for being birthed into new dimensions of self. The dysfunction is to prepare self for being birthed into new dimensions of self. That is so beautiful. I'm going to say it 2 more times. I think I already said it 6, but it's okay. The dysfunction was never to hurt us. It's to prepare self for birthing into new dimensions of self. The dysfunction was never meant to hurt us. It's to prepare self for birthing into new dimensions of self. One more time. The dysfunction was never meant to hurt us, never intended to hurt us. It's to prepare self for new dimensions of self. And this comes back to our relationship with ourselves, our relationship with God, our relationships with our divine counterpart, as we all have divine counterparts, as we go within to get in touch with our deeper understandings of self, transcend the darkness in order to understand why the darkness has always been a catapult into your light. You come into a greater level of appreciation with God. I'm being guided to go back to the devil, back to Satan, because I just breezed on right by that. Satan. Our dualistic consciousness understandings. I've been a priest in many lifetimes. I've been a nun in many lifetimes. I've been super pious in many lifetimes. So this is like a thing where my soul is like there's parts of my soul that are like objecting. I object. But it's a higher consciousness awareness that our ancestors, our cosmic ancestors whom have been here before, who seeded us. So our DNA and their DNA isn't separate. The things that they've seen, we're able to tap into within here because all of creation is one. So they're like, so we're like, so I'm like, just kidding. So oneness, the oneness of everything says that Satan, our dualistic consciousness, we hid ourselves from ourselves on purpose. We hid ourselves from ourselves on purpose. We hid ourselves from ourselves on purpose. Why, Ashley? Because the light, the power that the human being of planet Earth is, the unconditional love that the human being of planet Earth is no child's game. Is no child's game. It creates universes, can destroy universes. Creates dimensions, can destroy dimensions. It creates realities, can destroy realities. The light, the energy that we are is no child's game. So we hid ourselves from ourselves. There is no they, there is no them. Being guided to say that, emphasize, there is no they, there is no them. There is no they, there is no them. No one did this to us. No one did this to us. No one did this to us. Every dimension and aspect of God works together. The dark, the light, everything else in between and outside, the dark, the light, we all work together. Every dimension, every energy of God's creation works together to assist the next dimension in birthing into the next dimension of self. So there is no they, there is no them. There is no they, there is no them. There is no they, there is no them. We hid ourselves from ourselves. Satan or the darkness, evil, hell, that's where you're going to find yourself. That's where you're going to find, that's where you're going to find your truth. The Satan, devil, hell, darkness. Why, Ashley? We hid ourselves from ourselves. If we're demonizing and we're saying Satan, hell, darkness is bad, what's going to happen? We're going to run from demon, hell, Satan, darkness. Which means what? Running from ourselves. We're running from ourselves. Why, Ashley? We're not just angels. We are also demons. But in our dualistic perception of reality, we see angels as good, demons as bad. That is a concept that we made up. Just as angels and demons is a concept that we made up. Angels, demons, good and bad, dark, light. God's polarizing aspects are to create harmony, not to war. So the war that we created within ourselves is something that we manufactured. The dysfunction that we created in ourselves is something that we manufactured in order to hide ourselves from ourselves. When I say we, I say God, the Most High White Light Creator. The Most High White Light Creator, God, we, us all have 0 degrees of separation. As every degree of aspect of God's creation is helping every degree and aspect of God's creation into birthing into new dimensions and aspects of self. Why, Ashley? To experience new dimensions and aspects of self. Why, Ashley? Because God likes to have fun. I'm going to tell you, learning more about yourself, especially when you're so fucking cool, is so much fun. It's so much fun. We don't know how cool we are. We do not know how cool we are. Like, we're all so cool. We are one. So the human being is so interesting. It's like, I love museums, right? It's like walking through a museum and having just think, if you don't like museums, just think of everything that you like, right? And you're walking through a space and everything that you like is there. And it just keeps getting better. Like, on your like to love scale, as you walk, it goes like to love and progressively gets better. That's what it is, journeying inside of yourself. You're in a space, you're walking through a space, like to love scale, you're walking, and like to love scale, everything you like, love, it keeps getting better as you walk. That's what it's like, journeying through yourself. In order to experience that like to love scale and walk through a space in which you're enamored by everything that you experienced, you're enamored by yourself. You have to face the darkness. You have to face the labia. The labia, the darkness, isn't to harm us or hurt us, but it is to protect the creation. Protect the creation. So Satan, that's the concept that we made up in order to veer our way of I can't think of the word. It's trying to come in. In order so that we don't go there. So we don't go to these dimensions and aspects of ourselves, because you have to go through the darkness. You have to look at yourself. You have to understand that every dimension and aspect out here is a part of me, and you have to acknowledge that. You have to accept it, and once you do that, you're able to transcend those dimensions and aspects, and you're able to perceive more of yourself, or more of God, or more of creation in ways that you've never perceived before, which is really, really cool. And that's how I learned that I'm the biblically prophesied Messiah. That's how I learned about me being unconditional love. That's how I learned about my divine counterpart and myself being the highest vibrational white light created energy, because God tells you your story. God tells you your story. Once you go inside and you start figuring out who you are, God tells you who you are. Your soul and God have 0 degrees of separation. God starts telling you who you are. Once you face everything that you're supposed to learn from, you face that darkness, you birth out of the canal, you move the labia out the way, you come out. God tells you who you are. And it's like a surprise party. Like, surprise! You were in gestation. You were in gestation. You weren't in a battle. You weren't fighting for your life. You were in gestation. We were waiting for you. God says we were waiting for you. So that's how I found out that I was a biblically prophesied Messiah. That's how I found out about being the highest white light creator energy incarnated at this time. That's how I'm learning a lot about myself. I'm learning a lot about myself. I learned about the 10-year prophecy, higher consciousness of the human being of planet Earth. I learned that this stuff isn't anomalous. It's not anomalous. It's not anomalous. Like higher consciousness, living and incarnating at your will. So an infinite incarnation. So our lives are an infinite story that never ends, never begins. But we reincarnate as in our darkness. We constructed and formed the concept of death. So we leave our bodies. We're intended to last infinitely. Our bodies, as this podcast is entitled, have self-rejuvenation, dimensions and aspects that you're able to activate with higher consciousness, oneness consciousness. Lower consciousness, our bodies perish, and we have to reincarnate to continue to experience. With the higher consciousness human being, 44% DNA activity, 44% DNA activity, 44% DNA activity, 44% DNA functionality. We will be able to incarnate infinitely, journey through creation in our infinite incarnations. This isn't anomalous. This isn't anomalous. For the longest time, I was afraid. I was getting all of this stuff, channeling all of these knowings from my soul, from God, from our ancestors. My soul, God, our ancestors have 0 degrees of separation. When I say our ancestors, I mean you and me. We have 0 degrees of separation. Everything is one. So our soul, our ancestors, the Most High God, I created energy, 0 degrees of separation. I was channeling these things to God, my soul, our ancestors. And I was like so afraid to say them out loud. I was like, I cannot say that. They're gonna think I'm crazy. It's not anomalous. It's not anomalous. And now that I'm in higher consciousness, I have the understanding that we have beings and civilizations on our planet, present day. Some are in other dimensions. Many are in other dimensions, higher vibrational dimensions. Many are in higher vibrational dimensions. We have beings on our planet that don't want to be talked about, so I'm not going to talk about them. Many in higher dimensions. It's okay. We have beings that are humans that are activated in higher consciousness. So they're hundreds of years old, thousands of years old. They dwell in spaces and places that are not in the trenches. I'm gonna say that, not in the trenches. It's not in the trenches. It's not low consciousness activity. So they respect me a lot. They respect me a lot because bringing this information to the mainstream in order to lift up all of God's creation, in order to lift up all of humanity, I had to fight through some stuff within myself. I had to face those energies within myself, which felt like a fight. I felt like Floyd Mayweather. It felt like a fight. I had to face a lot of dark energies within myself, balance a lot of energies within myself. How actually I face those energies, acknowledge, okay, that's a dimension, a part of myself. Now I'm able to transcend it and view the light that is going to be alchemized, that's alchemized from the darkness. So I'm channeling all this information. I'm like, they're going to think I'm nuts. And then I have the higher consciousness, awareness, understanding that like, this is reality. This is reality. What we've been living in is a box. What we've been living in is what needs to be liberated. And I've been designated by God to liberate to assist with liberating humanity. So by bringing this information to humanity. And I know there's going to be a lot of, there's going to be like objections and people that don't agree. And that's okay. That's perfectly fine. Why, Ashley? Because we're always where we're supposed to be, and we're always who we're supposed to be. They're playing their role. We're always playing our role. We're always who we're supposed to be. We're always where we're supposed to be. That's how God's alchemy works. The energies, we're always the energy embodiment that we need to be in every moment for God's creation to work like God's creation works. And I know that any energy that I'm looking at is only a reflection of parts of myself. So I was like, these people are going to think I'm nuts. But that's okay, because I understand. I understand birthing into new dimensions of self. And I understand you are me and I'm you. So it's okay. I'm okay with that. But a lot of higher consciousness, a lot of beings dwelling at a higher vibration respect me for doing this, because it's like facing the fire. But like God told me a long time ago, like the phoenix rising out of the ashes is not a one-time thing. It's a perpetual thing. It's a decision. It's a choice to continue to grow into new dimensions and aspects of yourself. The phoenix rising out of the ashes is not a one-time thing. It's a choice to continue to grow into new dimensions, new aspects of self. The phoenix rising out of the ashes is not a one-time thing. It's a perpetual thing. It's a choice to grow into new dimensions, new aspects of yourself. No one does. There's not a human being on this planet that doesn't have the option to experience or realize creation with a divine counterpart. As we go within to meet ourselves and realize that we've always been the wholeness that we're looking for. Why, Ashley? Because we've always been love. We've always been the unconditional love, but we were just so good at tricking ourselves out of that knowing, with trying to fit in with what was whole time. We're here to create something new. So we've always been the fullness. And once we meet ourselves inside and realize that I've always been the fullness, because my relationship with God, my relationship with myself is my relationship with my divine counterpart, my twin. That's when they show up in your reality, because God's like, okay, they learn that there's all of the obstacles that I put in the way, seemingly obstacles that I put in the way that says that y'all can't work. Those are all choices on whether or not you are going to trust yourself, trust the power that you are, trust the unconditional love that you are, trust the force that you are. Why, Ashley? Because unconditional love is the understanding that nothing works against us. Nothing in reality works against us. Everything in reality is priming and prepping us for what we desire, what we ask for. Everything in our reality is prepping us to write our stories. So it's like taking the mystique out of mysticism. Taking the mystique out of mysticism. The devil, demons, and angels, they all work for God. All energies work for God. We're the ones that forgot that we work for God. We're the ones that forgot that we work for God. Every energy works for God. Every energy goes towards the creation of all that is of God's creation. The devil isn't bad. The devil is never meant to harm. The devil is training day. Denzel Washington was scary, wasn't he? Training day. Why? To help you come into new dimensions and aspects of yourself. That was so unnecessary. That was so unnecessary, but it just came to my mind, so I said it. Holy crap. I was trying to wrap up that parallel, the parallel between Denzel Washington and the devil. I apologize. Denzel Washington's character and the devil, but I don't remember that movie enough to do that, so I don't know what happened to the officer that was on his training day, so I can't really wrap it up like I want to. I can't really make it a bar, because I don't remember. That's so funny. But like, it's training us. Everything that happens in our reality is training us to graduate into new dimensions of self. But it's no longer allowing everything that happens in our reality or the darkness or the devil to kill us. But understanding that everything that happened, we can sit with ourselves, meditate, and understand what everything was trying to teach us in order to graduate into oneness consciousness or higher consciousness or God Goddess consciousness, in order to graduate and earn the enabling of self-rejuvenation, the rejuvenation of our bodies. There's nothing we have to do but learn from ourselves. Learn from our reality. Everything that happens in every moment is to teach us about ourselves. There's nothing that we have to do like extra except for make the time to be with ourselves and stop distracting ourselves from ourselves. That's a big thing because that's all we do. So there is something that we have to do. Stop distracting ourselves from ourselves. Stop distracting ourselves from ourselves. Stop distracting ourselves from ourselves. Practicing stopping to distractions. Practicing stopping the distractions. Practicing stopping the distractions. So practicing being with self. Practicing being with self. Practicing being with self. Why, Ashley? To graduate into higher consciousness. And I'm saying to enable self-rejuvenation. But really it's enabling everything. Like everything that you could ever desire, want, need, ask for. It's understanding that that's always been on route. You've always been en route for that. But in lower consciousness, we succumb to the notion that we're victims, that we succumb to the notion that we are suffering. And as we do that, we don't allow ourselves to learn from the moment, learn from everything that we've experienced in order to grow into higher consciousness, higher awareness of self, or a God, Goddess consciousness, which will enable everything. So like me being able to like work, and my work is I'm a channel for the Most High Creator. So I channel energies and messages. I alchemize energies for God, the Most High Creator, to assist with manifesting this creation called the human being of planet Earth in higher consciousness. 44% DNA activity and climbing. That's so beautiful. Claps to that. 44% DNA activity and climbing. I'm assisting with God alchemizing this divine human being. That's my job. It's your job too. And however we apply the knowings and the energies and knowledges and gifts that we find within, that's our job. And that's how beautiful it is. Like you work yourself, like everything that you need to survive, not just survive, but that everything you need to thrive, love, live joyously is seated within you, including the love that we seek outside, which comes back to the sacral chakra. Our sacral chakra isn't just that energy that we feel like sexually aroused. It's creator energy. It's creator energy, which makes me feel so much better about sex. I'm like, okay, this makes sense, because I was like, I felt so uneasy about it is because I knew on a soul level I knew there was a higher, there's a different vantage point that I was supposed to be looking at. There's a different vantage point that I was supposed to be looking at. So I was like, this don't really do it for me. It's because it is a sacred dance. Sex is a sacred dance. Sex is a sacred dance where you're procreating, so you're intertwining creator energies. It's a sacred dance. Whether a child comes from it or not, you're intertwining sacred energies. So it's a sacred dance, and you're creating. Even if physical matter doesn't present in that gestation, in that interaction, you're still creating energy from y'all's interaction. So I knew it didn't really sit something just wasn't right about it. This makes more sense. Our sacral chakra gets calcified because we get ashamed of our sexual activity or whatever the case may be. We get ashamed of it. We have so much shame and stigma around sex. We have so much shame and stigma around sex that our sacral chakra gets deactivated, calcified, so that our creator energy, which assists with our rejuvenation of self, how our body rejuvenates, gets disabled. That's all a part of raising our consciousness to understand the functionality of our body, to come into oneness with our body and understand our bodies are not our bodies are our temples. Our bodies are not our villains. Our bodies are sacred. Our bodies are sacred. Our bodies are sacred. Our bodies are sacred. I want to thank y'all so much for joining me on this Kingdom Things podcast live. Not a Sunday, but it's still a Sunday. The sun's shining somewhere. It's raining here today where I am. Sun's shining somewhere in my heart. The sun's shining in my heart. I want to thank y'all again so much for joining me on this Kingdom Things podcast live edition here on Twitch, at Kingdom Things Podcast on Twitch. Again, my name is Ashley Nicole Phillips. I am the biblically prophesied Messiah, as well as I am enjoying writing this beautiful story. I'm enjoying writing this beautiful story. I'm coming into new levels of gleaning enjoyment, new levels of enjoyment. I didn't come this far to just come this far to not be happy. And that's the whole thing. I didn't come this far to just come this far and not be happy. I didn't come this far to just come this far and not be happy. Allowing myself to be happy is humongo. I said I was going to close it out. I'm being guided to say one more thing. I have a divine counterpart. We've been through many lifetimes together. As the divine counterpart are the yin and yang, the polarizing aspects of the one soul that separate in like journey creation and do their thing. There's still wholeness, but we like forget, right? So we've had so many lifetimes where we come together and didn't work, come together, didn't work, come together, didn't work, come together, didn't work, come together. Lifetimes where we killed each other, and I had to face that. I was like, ooh wee. Lifetimes where we ended each other's lives. Because when we came into each other's lives, we turned the lives that we created upside down. So like we perceived each other as a threat. So we ended each other's lives. This is all the things I had to face in order to transcend those energies, karmic energies that say we can't work out, that God doesn't work, that God doesn't work, that God doesn't work. I lied, it's not the ending. I'm being guided to go in this. I'm kind of tired, so I was like, well, let's just end it. But let's go into that, the karmic energies. Just quickly, we're going to go into this. So, colloidal field. This is the colloidal field. And you know how we have a dualistic consciousness, low vibrational consciousness, separation consciousness. So we perceive polar aspects as dueling aspects. And as we do this, instead of being guided to just go colloidal field. Colloidal field, as we view dueling polar aspects as dueling aspects, it creates a colloidal field. And this is the colloidal field where there are loops amongst the loop. The loop amongst the loop. So throughout life, we cycle through these loops of creation on this plane, on this one loop of creation, on this one plane of creation, versus being able to elevate. Why, Ashley? Because the polarizing dualistic consciousness, separation consciousness, low consciousness that we have says that the polar aspect is something to run from. The dualistic consciousness, the separation consciousness, the lower consciousness that we have says that the polarizing aspect is something to run from. And as we do that, we run from our opportunity for growth, as the darkness is where the growth is, or the light is where the growth is. Whatever side you're standing on, the opposite side, you're going to find growth on that opposite side, or that polarizing side. Our dualistic separation consciousness says that the polarizing side is something to fight with. As we do this, we go in circles. We just go in circles throughout our creation, throughout our existence. Karma equals butterfly and cocoon, which equals callus, which equals new energy or skin. So karma equals the butterfly and cocoon. So the karmic cycles, it was us in gestation in our cocoon, preparing for where we're going. The karma, or the butterfly and the cocoon, the cycles, the low consciousness, separation consciousness, dualistic consciousness, which created the colloidal field. That was us preparing for where we're going. Gestation. The callus. So we were just getting all calloused up. Calcify sacral chakra, calcify heart chakra, calcify heart out from all the pain. We're like, I don't want to feel no more. I'm just going to run for myself. So we just keep on cycling. Karma. But once we understand and allow ourselves to glean that the polarizing aspect or the dualistic aspect is nothing to duel about, nothing to run from, we allow those calluses to be shed, which allows for new skin or new energy. New skin or new energy. And this is the colloidal field colloidal field with our separation consciousness. You see how the aspects never come together to meet, because we run from ourselves, or we run from the dualistic aspect, we run from the opposite aspect because We have the low vibrational consciousness that says the other side is our enemy, the other side is our competition, the other side is something to fight against. So, polatal field, which is what, Ashley? Our life force energy or our source energy is seated within our heart, seated within our vessel, seated within our beingness. When we are in low vibrational consciousness, we don't allow for the connection, like for the circulation through our toroidal field. Our toroidal field is disjointed. Our toroidal field is disjointed, and lower consciousness, separation consciousness that says the polarizing aspects or dualistic aspects are the other side is a they, them, competition is an oppressor. We create disjointment within our vessels. And as we create disjointment within our vessels, we create disjointment within our toroidal field. What is our toroidal field, Ashley? Our toroidal field is our power. Our toroidal field is our life force. Our toroidal field is our I don't watch this stuff, but you know, like it's our magic. Our toroidal field is our magic. Our toroidal field is our magic. I'm thinking of some things I only seen, I don't really know, so I can't reference. I can't reference. Oneness consciousness. Oneness consciousness. Oneness consciousness. So as we come into the understanding that, how do we come into the understanding? By facing ourselves. Everything in our reality is a part of myself. It's a projection of energies within me. So once we face ourselves and say, okay, I took on these dark energies not to harm myself, not to hurt myself, but to be the labia to protect the creation. And once we do that and we allow ourselves to accept, okay, this is a part of myself. What did I take this on? Ask yourself, what did I take this on for? What am I supposed to learn from this energy? And your soul is going to tell you. God's going to tell you. And once you learn from yourself, you're able to vibrate into higher vibrational states of being, or vibrate yourself into higher consciousness. Higher consciousness activates our toroidal field. Higher consciousness, oneness consciousness activates our toroidal field. Once we understand there is no they, there is no them, there is no competition, there is no opposition. There's only opportunities to learn, as everything in creation is oneness. We elevate into oneness consciousness. Our toroidal fields are activated. And as our toroidal fields are activated, our hearts are decalcified. As our hearts are decalcified, we have the access to infinite possibilities, infinite energies, as our heart chakras are the portals to, our whole beingness are the portals to creation. But our heart chakras, that's a spot. That's like a hot spot. That's a hot spot for like energies to permeate to. It's a portal. Our hearts are portals. Our hearts are portals. Our hearts are portals for energies to be welcomed into your reality, to your beingness, to assist with your upliftment, to assist with the creation of your story, the creation of your epic, the creation of you, creation of God. Your story, your epic, God and all actuality have 0 degrees of separation. So once we come into oneness consciousness or vibrate, face ourselves and understand that everything that we've experienced wasn't to harm us, wasn't to hurt us, but it's the labia protecting creation. Then I love that. Now I'm just so into it. I love that analogy. The labia protecting creation. We elevate into oneness consciousness, understanding that nothing was ever against us. There is no devil. There is no demon. There's only training day. Training day is the darkness. Training day is the trauma. Training day is the hurt, to prepare us for who we've always been, to reveal to us who we've always been. Who have we always been, Ashley? Gods or goddesses, or infinite possibilities. Infinite possibilities, infinite possibilities. Access to energies and abilities and energies outside of the karmic loops. So we activate our toroidal fields. No longer are we circling the karmic patterns of our ancestors, what has been. No longer are we circling the karmic patterns of our ancestors, what has been. No longer are we circling the karmic patterns of our ancestors, what has been. But we gain access to our souls. We gain access to our God, Goddess essence. We gain access to infinite possibilities. We activate our toroidal fields. Which comes with that is self-rejuvenation. And writing the story of your wildest dreams. Authoring the story of your wildest dreams. Be a God. I'm gonna let y'all know y'all ain't gonna be up. We're not gonna be able to go out here just buck wild and do what we want. There are rules. Rules being on a soul level, we drafted what we wanted to experience on our highest timeline. So when we go in to activate ourselves, we get bolstered up to the highest timeline, so we experience that highest timeline versus the lower vibrational understandings of reality. So it's not like we just get to go out here and choose, oh, this. There's things on our, and this is something that I had to learn the hard way. I'm like picking out houses that I want. Ooh, God's like, slow down, sis. God actually showed me that, God actually showed me, because I was so fixated on like homes, because that's a big thing for me. Like, that's a big thing for me. I'm being guided to explain why. I've always been searching for like myself, really. So for home, I've always been searching for love or myself or home. I've always been searching outside of myself for love, myself, or home. I've always been searching outside of myself for love, myself, or home. So now that I've come home within myself, like I want that manifestation external to myself, because my whole life I've always been like into like real estate and like things like that, and like houses, and I like details. So like my house, like I'm into details. So I find pleasure out of like looking at homes and stuff. I find a lot of pleasure out of that. But God showed me, like, because I'm being guided to detach from all people, places, and things. People, places, things. People, things, places, things. Why, Ashley? When we attach to external manifestations, we tie ourselves down to the timeline in which that external manifestation dwells. And when we tie ourselves to people, we like anchor each other down so we can't grow and expand. So when you're attached to people, not only are you tying yourself down to the lower timelines in which you met them, but you're actually tying them down so they can't grow within and of themselves. They can't experience new dimensions of themselves. They can't experience new vibrances of themselves because you're attached to them. So you're tying them down to the frequency in which you encountered them on. That's why I've been guided to detach from all people, places, and things in order to allow everyone, everybody, everything, the opportunity to flourish and grow as they shall flourish and grow. So the house is like, God, like I'm looking at houses like abundance, manifestation, goddess things. I was looking, and then God showed me, like, every time I look, like God was telling me go look. Every time I looked, every time, everything that I asked for in my mind, I would say something like, I was like, I need a doggy spa for my doggies. I need a pup spa. I need this. And I would go look at the houses, and exactly what I wanted would be there. Like, it'd be the exact manifestation of what I thought. And I'll go, and every time I go, so God showed me, like, don't worry about, like, focusing on the physical, because it's going to come to you and it's going to be perfect. It's going to come to you, it's going to be perfect. It's going to come to you, it's going to be perfect. So don't focus on the physical. Focus on getting your energy right. How you going to win when you ain't right within? How you going to win when you ain't right within? How you going to win when you ain't right within? How you going to win when you ain't right within? Come again. God's like, don't focus on the physical, because that's going to be right, because I'm showing you. Do you believe me now? Do you believe me now? Like, every time I go, it's like, oh, that's such a perfect property. I love it. Go back. That's such a perfect, like, every time I'm like blown away. Like, it's never, the physical world is never not going to be there. The physical world is never not going to be there. The physical world is never not going to be there. It's going to be what it's supposed to be when it's supposed to be there. Not only that, when you get yourself right, when it's there, it's going to be that thing. It's going to be right. It's going to be right. It's going to be right. It's going to be above and beyond what we can conceive in our mind, because, again, it's a soul level understanding of what we want. So it's our highest timelines, our highest understandings of creation, our highest understandings of self is what we're going to get when we get ourselves right in order to manifest our reality. I want to thank y'all again for joining me on this Kingdom Things podcast live edition. Again, my name is Ashley Nicole Phillips. I am the biblically prophesied Messiah. Yes, I'm a woman. Yes, I'm black. Yes, I'm beautiful. As well as I am super excited to be a part of this dimension and aspect of creation. Just like you, I'm growing into new dimensions and aspects of myself. Just like you, I want the opportunity to grow into new dimensions and aspects of myself. So just like you, I'm going to show you grace. I'm going to give you grace. I'm going to show you love and compassion. And everywhere that you show up, I would ask you for the same, but I'm just going to extend that to myself and let it be what it's going to be. I love you. Love on yourself. Self-love is the best love, because you have to love yourself in the way in which you want your reality to love you back. Self-love is the best love, because in all actuality, you are love. Give that love to yourself first, and watch how you change. Watch how you change. Watch how you change. In return, since we are projectors, your reality is going to change. Self-love is the best love, because you're here to love. You are here to love. So be that. Again, my name is Nicole Phillips. Bye. Be patient. Be patient.